Good morning, friends. So we'll be starting the class as actually waiting for a few more to join. I think now we have a sizable number of students and let us start. Okay. So I would share my screen. Let me share. Is my screen visible? Am I audible?
No,
Hello?
sir, your
Yes,
screen
sir,
is
you're
not
visible.
visible.
My screen is
But the screen
visible.
is not visible. No, sir,
Screen
not
is
for
not
me.
visible. I think just a minute. Let me unshare and share again so that it can come. Okay. Now is it visible?
Yes, sir, yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, fine. Let me go to the full screen. Okay. So if you recall, we have been discussing one of the very popular non-traditional process called electric discharge machining. So last class we have discussed the mechanism of the process and some of the related aspects of the EDM process. So as you know, EDM is basically a process which use electrical discharge or minute electrical discharge in form of sparks. Okay, and actually the machine surface is an after effect of several thousands or you can say millions of sparks. Okay, when you get, and each spark will contribute little bit of small area but localized in a very small spot, hair like spot. Okay, so today what should be the tool material for EDM. Okay, because ideally you see just a minute. uh, when you have a EDM, okay, in order to have this thing share, we just create whatever shape we create on want to create on the job. Just the reverse shape has to be first, inverse shape has to be created on the tool. Okay, so this complementary shape, when you talk about the tool, what should be the ideal tool material? So you understand, if any intricate shape has to be done, okay, on the tool, first of all, tool has to be very easily machinable. Okay, machinability has to be very good. But second important thing is, since we do not want, once created the features on the tool, we do not want the tool to get eroded away first, or rather as minimum tool erosion as possible. So what should be the criteria for that? Because when the electric discharge takes place, it is the kinetic energy of the moving electrons and ions which creates this what you call energy or the heat temperature rise on the job. But other than that, see, if electron strikes on the job, probably positive ions are striking on the tool, or it is vice versa also. So that means both end there should be some amount of heat generated. So obviously, if we do not want the tool material to get melt and subsequent evaporations and whatever involved process, the tool has to be very much thermal conductive, so that if heat is generated on the surface, that heat gets percolated, conducted into the bulk of the material very quickly, so that there is no temperature, there is no almost negligible temperature rise on the surface. So this is one essential property, should be one essential property, high thermal conductivity. Another issue is there, since we have to create the electric discharge, the ease of under a given electric field, okay, the electronegativity of the tool material is very important, because how easier it is to extract electron, the tool material can give away electrons under a given electric field, okay, so that we can have really a good discharged energy. So more this electronegativity, more will be this, stronger will be the discharge in a for a given finite time of the spark. So the tool material has to be both electrically conductive, has a good discharge properties, as well as good thermal conductive. And third issue, by the first we have said, the machinability of the, it should be very easily machinable. A very hard material probably will not be a very good what you call material for EDM process. So considering these factors, what we have can have, see copper. You see, if copper is a very easily machinable, it got good conductivity and thermal conductivity and electrical conductivity. Copper is very good. Then brass is good. Now, sometimes also we use tungsten electrode, particularly for micro, small, thin, what you call hole drilling and all, because tungsten got a very high melting point. Okay, and if you make an even and not even tungsten, also pure tungsten as well as tungsten mixed with copper and silver, that also could be a very good material for EDM. Okay, then also you can have graphite. Okay, so graphite typically you say it's an allotrope of carbon. It is available in form of block, and from that we machine out graphite. Is very easy to machine. Okay, so you can machine, give a shape easily, and that you can use. Conductivity wise, it is very good. Okay. Sometimes we also in the graphite we impregnate some copper particles, so that also can be used, and it will show you some good properties. And sometimes on the graphite or any other things, we give a coating through the electrolytic process. The process is known as electroforming process. So on the say graphite or any other electrode, we can give a coating of say graphite or silver, something like that, and that may be used as the tool material. So out of all these things I've listed over here, around 8 things, copper and brass are the two most common electrode materials for EDM. Okay. So selection of the tool materials. First look at the tool. We have divided the material wise. We are talking about wear ratio. How good is the wear ratio? What is the achievable material removal rate? Whether it is good or difficult or easy to fabricate, whether economically affordable, and application areas. So if you see from copper, brass, tungsten wise, like copper, wear ratio is low. What is wear ratio? Can anybody tell? Okay, wear ratio is the ratio of see amount of material removed from the tool, erosion of the tool, divided by the material removed by the job from the job. So ideally, if we want the tool erosion or tool wear should be as low as possible, the wear ratio should be 0. Okay, but practically speaking, that is not possible. Somewhere in the long run always will be there. So that way, you see, copper, it got a low wear ratio, but brass, it is got high, relatively higher wear ratio. Tungsten, because of the high melting point, it got extremely low wear ratio. Okay, so it will show you the lowest wear ratio. But when you consider, we don't use the tungsten, why? Because of the other considerations. Say for example, copper will in the roughing conditions, when you really machining at a very high parameter settings, giving rise to high, copper is extremely good. Otherwise, on the when you bring down the parameter settings, say on time, current setting, and so on, so as to you can have a finish on the job, say then brass may be good. Fabrication wise, both are good. Cost is moderate. Brass cost is even lower. So it can apply it for all types of metal. Whereas for tungsten, although wear ratio is low, MRR is low. Fabrication is also difficult. Okay, and cost is high. So only where you have some small machining applications like small holes to be where it has to be drilled. So those cases we may use tungsten electrode. Otherwise, we can mixture of say tungsten and copper alloy. So for again, this will be used for both these two things will be used for high accuracy jobs when dimension size of the features are small and high accuracy is required. Okay. Otherwise, we can also use zinc based alloys where wear ratio is high, but machining rate is high. Okay, and say easily it can be, rather than machining, we can die cast the shape and then some finishing, then we can use this as a tool material. It can also be applicable for all types of material. Okay. So you see, I was talking about some of the applications where you require high accuracy and very small hole drill. Say for example, if my tool is of such a thin diameter, maybe 1 millimeter, 1. So tungsten got a very high strength. Okay, it may not, it got it has stiffness is very high, as well as tungsten got a high melting point. So we can use this kind of tool made of tungsten. Say for example, this kind of a turbine blade, on the surface you see we need to make number of small holes, cooling holes to be drilled. Okay, so this can be done with this kind of tungsten electrode using the EDM process. Okay. Now, I talked about the wear ratio. That means there may be some tool wear in the process, and reason is obvious. I discussed also. Okay. So, so if at all, say some tool wear is happening, say your tool geometry is simple, either it is flat or it is a some kind of a much simpler geometry, maybe inclined also, or some other simple profile. So in that case, if the tool has been worn out and the tool wear is more or less uniformly distributed all over the tool surface. So what will happen? Eventually we have to make some because tool will have some reduced length. So we have to make some compensation for the reduced length. Just like in conventional machining, we give a tool wear compensation in the CNC machining. So similar things also can be done like that. So what we do it, suppose we knowing that this is coming, so how much it has been worn out, because suppose it is a digital movements, if the machine can track somewhere, so we can use the electrode refeeding systems. Means the tool will be brought to a reference point, and there it may be able to, just by touching, it may create a spark, and immediately that coordinate will be noted. That means that is the actual present tool dimensions. So that will be made the 0 point. Okay, and with that reference point, probably we do the rest of the machining point. So this tool wear compensation now will be known, and accordingly all other things, because you have already set the 0 point, you can do it over there. And in many EDM machines, okay, probably just like a CNC machine, you are knowing about the say turret. What is a turret? Turret, on a turret we use, on a, let's say on a turret we use a multiple tools. So as and when required, the turret can rotate and a particular tool can be picked up, and that can do the machining operations. Or say milling machine, you have seen automatic ATC, automatic tool changer. So similarly for EDM also, we can have many tools mounted on a magazine that may be called one at a time by a CNC program. So advantage is that, because you in a bigger job, say you may require number of operations to be done, and all may be by EDM process. It may be on a, for the same shape, first roughing tool, then we go over to the finishing tool, which will have a more intricate features. Okay, and where the tool wear will not be so much, because historically. So this could be that, or on a job, on multiple places we can have to generate different features, different dimensions. So we require different types of tools. So such tools may be mounted on the magazine and can be called. So advantage is obvious. Probably every time, if you know the relative positions of the tool with respect to the home positions, the bottom end of the tool changing time you can get rid of. Okay, so this way, with these facilities, multiple tool in a machine and also CNC control, the CNC EDM, it will be even more powerful machine. EDM is a very good for machining hard materials. Plus computer numeric controlled EDM machines will be even more popular. Okay, so I'll just tell you how this CNC EDM can be exploited and create different shapes. That I'll give you some examples. So first look at it, EDM equipped with the CNC. Okay, so see the first case is typically a called one variant of the EDM process, which is called a die sinking EDM. In die sinking EDM, what we are doing? On a block of material, we are creating a blind shape, because that may be used for using as a die, some shape. If that die may be for forging operations, molding operations, whatever it may be. Okay, so typically if the shape of the top shape of the things will be bottom face of the tool. This is the tool. This will gradually go down in tandem with the machining rate and keep on machining. The problem with this, which exactly the shape of this job to be created, tool size may be slightly less, because on the side there may be little overcut of say around 10, 20, 30 microns, 50 microns, this overcraft, because the tool actually is never touching the job during the machining operations. There will always be some gap, and between the gap, actually this gap between the tool and the workpiece, when this tool is coming downwards, will be your machining gap, inter-electrode gap. And this gap will be flooded with the what? Dielectric material. And upon giving the voltage, threshold voltage, we may create the breakdown conditions, discharge may be created and machining may be going down. So mostly the bottom face of the tool will be exposed for machining, and whatever material is under the footprint of the tool, that portions of the job will be machined and gradually. But here also, as it goes down, the side machining also will be happening, because on the from the side some discharges may take place. Is it not? So the problem here there, as you go down deeper and deeper, gap is very small. Okay, say if it is a only 1 millimeter, 2 millimeter, this is well and good. Okay, but if it is a, you are going down by say 2 centimeter, 20 millimeter or 50 millimeter, then flushing becomes a problem. What is flushing? Flushing is the you have a dielectric fluid from the tank, from where you have a recirculating system, because in between you have involved a filter, which will filter is actually taking the machine debris from the EDM operations, the debris, very fine particles, black particles. Okay, so the debris has to be cleaned continuously, so that this recirculating pump will, after the filtering, it will put back into the working tank again and flood the area with a clean dielectric. Now, just you feel if the gap is so small where this debris cannot be collected properly, and locally there is a high chance of this debris gets accumulated, then all sorts of uncertainty during machining will happen. Is it not? So because local dielectric properties will change, discharge may not be at the same conditions, the same strength as it is desired. So somehow we have to ensure the debris can be collected from the zone very easily. So alternative approach, when you have a CNC machines and a tool which can be moved, controlled by a CNC program, what you tell, don't make the tool so big. Rather, you use a very smaller tool like this. Okay, initially this block was completely intact, no machine surface. So from there, from top, you target the center. Okay, and from there you just open up and go like an down like a Archimedean spiral, but conical path. Okay, so what will happen? Slowly, always, because it is moving in a circular path as it goes down. Okay, this tool, from other than this, any almost at least two faces are always open. Maybe sometimes it is three faces are always open. So that way, flushing, removing the debris is much more easier. So this kind of processes or movements are called, it's got a given name, it is called a orbital cutting, as if the tool is moving within the things in a orbit. Okay, so it is called a orbital cutting. So whole advantage of the orbital cutting, using a smaller job, you are able to machine the same area, same features, but ensuring your flushing and the debris removal is much better, much convenient, so that machining is much more consistent. Understood? Okay. Now the third type, which I'll be concentrating now, is same. It is again a smaller tool. You see my shape of the desired shape is this much. Okay, but for this I do not use again similar size of tool. Rather, I use a smaller tool, and from there I go straight down, then move in angular fashion, then move horizontally. Vertical, angularly down, and then horizontal. Now you see the shape can be there, and this whole shape, see in CNC program, although you have given the path, but when the tool moves through a servo control. Unless the material in in advance of you, okay, has already been moved, tool will not move further. It will always check through a feedback program, and then only this will move, so that eventually when it dimensions comes there, it will stop and tool will be withdrawn. The fourth thing we have shown you a angular movement. His tool goes down vertically, then in an angular fashion, and from there it can take a actual path of this square it can also be done. Okay, so these are the different ways we can have a better removal of debris, and the machining can be done much more easily, but still we can go for a complex form like this. Okay, so other forms are also giving. You see how it is done. Try to see yourself. And sometimes we are improvising in such a way, depending upon the shape to be created. The shape of the tool is not always straight kind of things. We can have this kind of expansion of the tool like this, like this, like this. Okay, try to see how it is done. You just go through the figure. So first thing, if you look at the shape, what we are doing, basically there is some, you see this kind of undercut is there. Okay, so this shape has to be created in an EDM, okay, out of a block. So my friend, how these things, so you know if this dimension is 5 millimeter. So from here we make it slightly from this has to be 5 millimeter. Okay, so knowing the dimension, we can make the tool like this. So here look at the orange color path. Tool is coming down up to this, and from there it is moving in a orbital path, in an orbit like this. Okay, this is again an Archimedean spiral. And when it comes over here, now in this zone only, remaining areas no. First you may create the entire cylindrical shape like this. And here you move it the center of this, match the tool with this. And then you expand radially, gradually, and expand in a circular path so that these two ends can be created, okay, and onto the job. Say for example, I want to create a pyramid kind of shape or reverse conical shape like this out of a tool. Apparently it may be low, and that to blind shape. Apparently it may look very difficult, any tool like this, but with the CNC EDM again it is possible. Okay, again you are going down, going in an orbital motion and getting the shape. Then you can have different types of go-to functions, and you can rotate the tool, do some kind of a either mirror imaging or some kind of a rotational axis you can change, and you can have this kind of symmetricity onto the job. Say for example, somewhere I have tell you I want to create a helical group by EDM process. Okay, so for that case, this is the internal features that has to be created on the block. I get the tool shape like this, but simply doing that things are not important, because where you have to do it, you have to have both downward movement as well as rotational movement, but there should be some relationship between these two, downward movement and rotational movement, because this pitch, okay, because just like a thread cutting, the pitch, okay, and the lead, so they have certain relationship. Okay, so say for example a single start thread, okay, the in one rotation, okay, the pitch will be equal to the lead, and in one rotation which will be equal to the lead. Here also it will be exactly same. The movements, okay, of the rotational movement is equal to this, what you call pitch of this. Okay, so that how much rotationally it should move and vertically it should advance, that has to be divided. But again, the vertical advancement again will be controlled by a servo control, which will make sure only when the little bit of depth has been attained, then tool can be moved. Okay, it's not that we have in EDM we give a predefined speed and tool will advance and do the machining. It cannot happen. It will be just create a short circuit of the tool. So it has to be continuously monitored, the gap, and it has to be controlled through a servo control, and then only whenever this machining has been taken place, in tandem with that, further movement of the tool will take place. Okay. Similarly, you can create a cylindrical hole, you can create a vectorial motions and create all these kind of things. You can all these kind of what you call shapes you can think about. You may create in a EDM and create all different features by combinations of movements, by combinations of tool shapes and multiple movements of the tools as well. Okay. So not only that, say for example, I can use rather than a solid tool, I can use a wear. Say for example, on a spool, this the wear is already on, and from this wear a thin wear will be coming. So this will be as the supply tool. Remember, this fresh wear is coming here. It is moving in this direction. And this is my machining zone. Actually, what I'm trying out of this, I am going to machine certain portions. Okay, say these portions I want to machine. Okay, so this zone I want to machine and this complete shape I want to machine. Okay, so here initially I create a small hole just to pass the wear. And then the wire will be coming, it will go through these pulleys and there will be another motor driven spool which will be the take up spool. So this wire will be used once for all. Okay, it is continuously a traveling wire. This area is locally from top and bottom locally flooded with the dielectric. So along the say surrounding the wire, we are creating an annular jacket of water. Then we apply the DC voltage between the wire, that is the tool, and your tool electrode, and this is the other electrode is the job. So here obviously when this tool is very close proximity and voltage level is high, there will be a discharge. Now if you move the job, even the tool also, create a relative motion between the wear and the this block. So the discharge column will be continuously moved and whatever material it gets ahead of this, it can be machined. So these movements will be again very slow in accordance with the material removal rate. But beauty is that given a profile which may be pretty complex that can cut this through the wear, it will be you will be able to cut material, any hard material, say tungsten carbide, okay, block, you can cut so easily. Hardness is not a constant because the discharge temperature, how much I said, maybe the temperature may rise locally intermittently, maybe around say 8,000 to 12,000 degrees centigrade, very high. So I said for EDM, hardness of the material is not a constant. Okay, we can easily machine this. In fact, better the poorer the conductivity of the job material, it is better. Okay, because heat can be confined locally, surface temperature can be used to melt the material easily, and we can proceed further. Okay. So you see actually when the wear we are creating, this is a wear guide. So wear is coming from the top and we are creating multiple holes like this. We can create on this through the EDM process. Okay. So initially it is entering through this through some small channel. Okay. And there you see because of the discharge which you are able to see in your visible spectrum, it will glow like this and you can see this is the actual operation EDM machines. Okay, so locally the wear is actually not touching the job, but the area is always flooded with the dielectric fluid and we are creating the discharge and moving fine. So that this kind of job we may easily create through the wear electric discharge machine. In short form we call it a wear EDM process. Okay, now you know about the wear EDM process. Okay, and many times the wear EDM typically a finishing process. When the wear passes, it is not we just for die sinking EDM, which is going down and machining further. The same machine surface is again machined by the what you call tool, block of tool. But for wear idiom, it will cut, go to a new position and go. It is almost a finishing process. So for wear idiom, you require a very high frequency pulse. The pulses will be very short duration in time. Say typically for die-sinking idiom, if the pulse is say 200 microsecond, for wear idiom, this may be how much? Maybe 1/10 of the 20 microsecond, that small pulse. So here actually we are frequently we use a deionized water as the dielectric. For die-sinking idiom, we are using a hydrocarbon oil. But for wear idiom, we are using deionized water free from all soluble salts, so which may increase the conductivity that we have removed through a ion exchange process. Now use that water in wear idiom. Now deionized water has a very high ionizing and deionizing capacity. Very quickly it can get ionized and very quickly it can get deionized, so that whenever your sparking time is very small, pulse on time, pulse off time, they are very small. You are going for a very high frequency process like wear idiom. I have to look for a appropriate dielectric. Ideally, deionized water is very good in terms of ionization and deionization capability. And since this viscosity is also not very high, it can again for very thin cavity, it can flood the area and still create the locally present along the all where it can that it can go through that gap and it can create flood the area with the dielectric. So these reasons actually even in wear idiom I just mentioned deionized water may be used. Okay, let me proceed further. Okay, so you see how beautifully the shapes can be created. Okay, see, look at this. How, see, this is the traveling wire electrode and this is by giving the CNC motion you are going, and this is the wire motion. So this is the supply, this is the take up spool, this direction. Okay, say for example, out of this initially it was flat. These two are from the same piece. Okay, and here I just pass the wire, okay, initially, and now it is able to cut this piece out of this block. Okay, so this can be such is the strength of the machining. Any other complex, say conventional process cannot be done. Or sometimes also we have shown you the two motions, but this wire also can be continuously tilted at different angles. That means inclination angle of the wire with respect to the job can be tilted. Say keeping the bottom of the wire, spool of the wire or bottom guide of the wires fixed. If we just move the top of the wire in a circular path, what will happen? Bottom is fixed and we create a circle. We get a inverted cone. So this also is possible by CNC programming, controlling the movements in CNC, and we can create even inclined features in this thing. And this kind of inclinations during the path of machining, depending upon my requirement, can continuously be changed. We can create different types of complex shape. So it is basically 4-axis machine. Is it not? Okay. Now friends, now I'll talk you how the inter-electrode gap is controlled. The gap, inter-electrode gap means the gap between when the machining takes place. What is the machining gap? The between the bottom of the tool and top of the job. And the gap is flooded with dielectric. Okay. So why do you need to maintain a constant gap during the EDM process? Because to maintain the predetermined gap between the electrodes, because if my voltage level is 10, breakdown voltage for a given dielectric, its discharge capabilities are same, its breakdown potential is requirement is same. So in order to have the machining to go on in a consistent way, means with every spark, the discharge energy can be predictable. So what I have to do it, if I maintain the gap during discharge, I can, one of the condition is the gap has to be constant. The gap between the first spark, second spark and nth spark all should be under certain same gap, and your voltage level of the that is has to be also maintained constant. That is maintained by the your power supply. Okay. Now what will happen? Say EDM, the tool and the job, the relative gap is not static. It is a dynamic condition because continuous machining is happening. Okay. Now, if the tool suppose by moves too fast, okay, so what will happen? The tool may what to call eventually go and hit the job. There will be short circuit. Your machine surface already you have created, that may get spoiled. So you cannot happen allow that short circuit to take place over there. There is a control of maintaining the gap. Or say if you are too conservative, you give a very slow speed, okay, and knowing that gap will be is not going to touch it. But if you're that conservative, probably you lose your productivity. Machining will happen, but you are capable of machining more at a faster rate, but you are not going. Okay, and what will happen? The gap will, because of the involved setting on the machine, where your capability of machining more material, but you are moving the tool very slowly downward, your gap will gradually open up. So that is also not very good situations, conducive situations. So here, what we will do it, we continuously monitor the gap. Okay, so we see what is the inter-electrode gap. So this signal will be fed to the servo systems, and in case there is a chance we have deviated from the gap, say either it is if it is a closer, the tool will move in the reverse directions little bit, so that gap is restored. Or say if the gap has been widened up, so it will be moved little faster towards the workpiece until the gap again is maintained. Okay, so this kind of things will be done through some things. That is what will take. And many times what may happen, say for a smaller gap, suppose for a bigger job, many times the flushing is inefficient. The debris removal is not good enough. And that is creating a polluted, contaminated dielectric. Again, the discharge conditions will be unknown, uncertain. It will bring uncertainty. So if the flushing is inefficient, again, you are going for a very long cycle time. Say, for example, how this will work in a servo system. Here, this is suppose your job is positive and this is negative. And this distance is your inter-electrode gap. It is flooded with the dielectric. And how small is the gap? Maybe 50 micron. Okay, so this gap we maintain the voltage. So through this we apply from the power supply, we give the voltage pulse. Say we give a open circuit voltage of, say, peak voltage of 100 volt. Okay, this is the open circuit voltage. Now what may happen? This volt, it will be depending upon the gap. Initially gap may be slightly wider, but okay. So here we have to bring down the gap closer. So field strength will increase because of the proximity. And what will happen? Since it is now gap is closer, maybe at a much lower voltage, the lower distance, this sparking for a given voltage may happens. Okay, say here if we maintain, because what will happen? The moment your discharge comes down, your dielectric breaks down, so it becomes conductive, but it will offer some resistance. So your voltage, when the current starts flowing, the voltage tends to come down. Say for example, it is possible to create this your voltage something between 50 volt, where you are actually the sparking can occur after ionization. Okay, so this 50 volt will correspond to some gap, inter-electrode gap. Now, what will happen if you further bring the tool closer? Will there be discharge? Yes, because gap is even smaller. Discharge will be there. But how close you can go? You can go smaller, smaller, smaller. But beyond the things, if you go fine, say something around below 20 volt, with this sends to the gap voltage. Okay, servo gap voltage. Okay, if you go below this, what may happen? If the operated voltage range could be within a very small range, so this range actually the sparking becomes so vigorous and gap is so small. Again, because of the things, the machining becomes inefficient. There may be arcing kind of situations which may happen. Okay, so rarely we can say this is the gap voltage between 20 and 50 is the range where the sparking can happen after ionization. Below this, I think we have a chance of arcing kind of situations. We do not go beyond that thing. And above this, the gap is so much actually, despite the your open circuit given voltage, the breakdown may not take place. Now, friends, out of this, probably what should be, we look for a very certain conditions, consistent conditions. Maybe the 30 volt is the scene. Okay, where my machining can happen very consistently. Here, this is one limiting conditions. Here, this is one limiting conditions where we are going below this, we are going to the arcing kind of condition. Below, above this, we are going to the no spark conditions. So 30 may be somewhere very safe bet. Okay, for this kind of situations. Now, my friends, what will be there? Because if I set the machine as 30, am I very safe? Is the machining consistent? And always can we get in my gap voltage signal, always it will be 30? No. Why no? Because during machining, there may be some local variations. Because during machining, your debris are getting created. The removal of debris is more during the pulse off time. The on time, the debris concentration is slightly more. So depending upon the set conditions, debris removal, there may be some fluctuations of the gap voltage. And say what may happen if the servo system tries whenever, because it may now fluctuate either plus minus 30. Okay. Now, if this is so much, okay, if this is so, probably a person, who is very much intolerant, what will happen? He will try to take some feedback action. Okay, say now we are all isolated, but in a classroom, think of a student. Okay, and all are sitting or standing in a line. Students, if someone on the from back, the last person gives a push forward, what will happen? Again, all gets pushed in the forward directions. Okay, this is one situation will happen, means depending upon the feedback coming, others are acting. Now, it may so happen, suppose the person sitting behind you just give you a small pinch. Okay, you are given to your friend, but two things may happen. How the person is going to react upon the pinch. If he is too tolerant, probably nothing will happen. He will listen to my lecture as if nothing has happened. Okay, but if that boy is too sensitive, suddenly in the class he'll suddenly say, oh, he'll sound like that. Okay, so that means he is very much intolerant. He cannot absorb any small disturbance, he get disturbed. So that is why here also this kind of situations may happen. See, from local variations, if small fluctuations of this gap voltage, okay, so if it happens, so what will happen? Machine will either reciprocate towards this, or if it is lower, it will try to move away from this. So it will just create a jitter kind of things on the tool. Okay, so that is not ideally required because you be little flexibility in the system. So what will happen if the 30 is your reference servo reference voltage and we continuously monitor how is it deviating from this 30 voltage in a flexible, slightly more liberal things or tolerant things, we give some servo sensitivity on the upper side and lower side. So this will be servo system's operational voltage decide the servo sensitivity. So from the reference voltage, maybe we have given +2 and here -2. Somebody is less liberal, he may give just +1 -1. That means 29 and 31. Somebody is too tight. Okay, he will give you just 30.1 and 29.9, very tight tolerance. And that case, the machining will be very fluctuating and always some my tool movements will be there up and down because of the local fluctuations. So we have to see, depending upon the requirement, how you decide the servo sensitivity. Okay, if the operation voltage range could vary within a very small range, we understand now it is having a servo sensitivity, or if it is making a say very low servo sensitivity. That means from this reference voltage of 30, we can go up to say +4 volt, -4 volt. Again, no feedback action will be there on the tool just to maintain the gap. That is good. Probably machining will, or many systems actually machining process itself will with time will rectify the local gap and still consistent machining will happen. And that case we can even go for a low to moderate servo sensitivity. We'll do it. Okay. Okay. Now I'll talk about the pulses in EDM. Now pulses is EDM means we are using we have a power supply used for this thing EDM process, and it gives a DC pulses. Okay, to the between the tool and the job, these pulses will be coming one after the other. So there will be pulse on time, then there will be pulse off time, and so on. It will go one after the other, and each pulse is likely to create some discharge. It may so happen there will be some missed pulses under the given other conditions. It will depend upon the other conditions. But if the conditions are conducive, a spark is going to create some discharge in the gap depending upon the local asperities on the surface, which is the portions are closest approach between the tool and the job. There the next spark is going to strike. Now the performance measures such as material removal rate, tool wear rate, surface finish for the same energy. Okay, that depends on the shape of the current pulses. Means we can use, that means can we have pulses of different shapes? We can have a square pulse, we can have a rectangular pulse. Okay, we can have pulse like which will have some ramp and again going down some other shapes. It may happen. So depending upon this, I say the MRR, TWR and surface finish may be different. And depending upon the situations in the gap, which separates both the electrodes. So we can have 4 different types of pulses. We can distinguish 4 distinguished pulses can be having. One is of them is open circuit or open voltage. Then we can have actual sparks or effective discharges. Then we can have arcs, and also we may have short circuit. I'll show you pictorially how they are. Say here, what I have shown you, the pulses in EDM. This is the time axis, okay, and this x-axis, and this is I've taken 2 plots. One is the capture of the voltage signal with time history, and another is capture of the current signal. They are done on the same time. Okay, so here exactly means at any point of time how the voltage signal varies and how the current signal. Say voltage signal, we are giving a voltage signal like this. Okay, Now this is time which is basically how much, what is this time? Can somebody tell? This is, we are giving in the gap, interelectrode gap filled up with the dielectric, but the dielectric will require certain finite time to get ionized, because the threshold voltage has to be reached, and then from initiation point where the breakdown starts, the plasma strength will go on time. So this finite time is called the ionization time. So that is where you do not have any, till then, this finite discharge time, you do not have any current is showing. So current is showing only after that breakdown takes place and plasma channel finish. So from there you see the moment breakdown takes place, voltage tends to come down, and finally it may take a stable value. So here correspondingly from this current is 0. From here, when the growth of plasma channel, current is gradually picking a higher value, and from here with voltage, this is will also take a stable value. And this is where from here it is coming down. That means the pulse off time is starting from there. This is the pulse off time. Okay. And here during off time, current will suddenly come down to 0. So this is what is a normal spark. Okay, we are calling it a effective cell, and for good dielectric this distance has to be small, very small, because that means it is having very good ionization capability, short ionization. In a very short time this ionization can take place, so that we can really exploit the full length of the spark, full time of the spark. Okay, but there may be other situations depending upon the local conditions, gap conditions. Say your off time is very small. Already because of machining, gap is contaminated, and this, or you have chosen a dielectric whose deionizing capability is poor. So what may happen when the second sparks comes? Okay, before that already little bit of things has not been completely deionized. Okay, so that case instantly the spark will start, and again from there it will have some kind of a discharge. So it will be almost kind of a, if the spark of time is small, it will be almost sort of a arcing kind of situation, a sustained discharge phenomenon. Okay, it may fluctuate a little bit, but it will be a kind of a sustained discharge condition. Is it good? You are getting more discharge, okay, over time, but it is not really good. Ideally, if you look back at the mechanism of material removal in EDM, you should be having an intermittent spark of, say, on time, off time, and during off time, the time of off time gives a your good flushing of the debris can be removed, and the locally the dielectric original conditions, it may be we can restore the original conditions. So that is a healthy things. Otherwise arcing is not a very healthy things. Rather, if you although getting a continuous sustained discharge, but here machining rate tends to come down because of the always the debris are present in the things. Okay, gap restoration is not possible. The other conditions we can have, somehow say the tool has touched because servo has not worked, or we are using such a bad condition or big electrodes, it is completely contaminated with the debris and flushing is not good enough. So tool may touch that case. So that case what will happen? Voltage tends to comes down high, okay, 0 with a short time, and this current will be very high. So it is again not desirable conditions, because again short circuiting may spoil your surface. Okay, so this is not a very good condition. And last, of course, when we have given the voltage, but because of the gap conditions, dielectric is not broken down, no discharge is created. So that is what is called the open circuit voltage. Okay, so this kind of 4 different conditions, distinct conditions we may have in terms of EDM shape. But remember, not always it will be this kind of rectangular shape. We can have specific shape of the pulses in EDM, and that also can be designed by using suitable power supply. We can do those things. Okay. Now pulse, not the spelling is wrong, pulse waveform for effective discharge. Okay, so the pulse waveform, see, I did this already, I have discussed slightly just previous slide. So here you see this is time, this is the pulse voltage, this is the current. Here we have given the voltage. So this is the ignition delay. Sometimes we call it a ignition delay. This is basically ionization delay, ionization time of the dielectric. And from there, when plasma channel starts, voltage comes down, and this is where, and here we have the spark off time. But here you see this is some time. This is what is your, how much? This is deionization time, deionization time. Okay. So again, ideally, say this ionization time and deionization time should be low for a good dielectric, but again, it will take some finite time. Okay. And similarly, we can have current rise, and from there we are again deionizing. Current value will follow this kind of change. So total discharge duration is actually happening from this time, from the start of the ionization to the up to this, okay, end of the deionization. So this is the total discharge duration, but within that also you see, if we see the current value, local current value there with time, so discharge strength also with time is fluctuating during the discharge duration. Okay. Okay, and you see here, if this is the tool and this is the job, a spark is eventually created in a crater. Okay, small crater that has been created. So every spark will going to create some small hemispherical material. Okay, maybe 50 micron diameter, 100 micron diameter, small, but since pulses are coming one after the other, and next pulse is going to create this crater on a different locations. So eventually, every time all the areas under the footprint of the tool, all the workpiece area under the footprint of the tool will be covered, and subsequent pulses will be, craters will be superimposed of the over the previously created crater, so that we can gradually go down and down and down. Okay, fine. Now, when we talk about the pulses, probably we'll see the what are the different types of pulse generator, means which gives this, generates this pulse, the power supplies. Okay, so control pulse generator, okay, governs the shape and the frequency of the pulsing. Okay, so it enables either, say, we can either go for rough machining operations. Rough machining means we have to the energy part pulse crater size will be bigger. So each pulse will contain higher energy. So higher number of electrons may strike the job. Okay, and the tool, and vice versa. And we can always go for a low frequency operations. So this will be typical for rough machining, but finish machining, the crater size has to be brought down to a small size. Okay, hemispherical crater. So we have to make sure the settings are such that energy per pulse is low, and we can have same energy, we can divide into the more number of pulses for a given time, so that we have to go for a high frequency operations. Okay, fine. So some of the pulses generated initially, I said historically, who's the inventor? Lazarenko, one Russian scientist. Rather, two Russian scientists, both the title was Lazarenko. So they use some kind of a very crude power supply, because they are using some kind of a impulse generator with connected with a DC generator principle. Okay, so here when you have this kind of things, okay, and you have some current regulators, okay, and say this is your machine and this is your job, okay, and this triangle we are talking about the what you call this is about the tool. Okay, so this is the inter-electrode gap. Here I have to create the spark. when this kind of things will happen, it will give a pulse like this. Okay, this kind of spikes like this, it will come. But this is again, it will depend upon the RPM and other armatures, number of coils there, how the electric field is generated in a typical DC generator. But this kind of things, of course, will not be there because there is no off time. So what will happen? The same thing, very simply, we can create like a what you call half-wave rectifier, because it may be in the reverse circle. It will not be like, it may be some kind, this kind of sinusoidal. So if we have a some kind of a diode, okay, that things will give you only passage of things only one directional only. So this can give this kind of pulses like this. Okay, so this pulse generator with alternator and half-wave rectified twinkle we can do, but nowadays nobody will go for this kind of generator because it's very good and you can really go for a very high frequency operations. Lot of physical limitations are there beyond which this will not work, because we are talking about pulses sometimes in terms of 10 microsecond. Okay, probably this will work barely up to several milliseconds. Okay, we not beyond below that thing. So we'll not discuss much about this rotary pulse generator. The other type is a kind of a RC generator. Bottom one, we are talking also as a relaxation generator. Okay, so it is also very simple, but relatively better. What we are having over here, here look at this in this circuit. Okay, look at this circuit. Here, this is your DC source. Okay, and this portion is you are putting a condenser across it, and this is your resistance, controlling resistance or current regulator. So what will happen if this condenser initially having a zero potential, okay, zero charge rather I would say, and voltage also will be across the condenser will be zero. What will happen? When this power supply is on, this condenser will start getting charged. Okay, and so that means the voltage of the capacitor will keep on rising, and there will be finite time it will take to get charge. Okay, so if this voltage is say something like a V or V0, so slowly the rate of charging, as it get more and more charge, rate of charging also will come down, and it may take infinite time for this condenser to have the voltage across its condenser voltage to be equal to V0. It may take infinite time. Okay, and but higher the time, the mode will be the stored energy equal to how much will be the energy, half C into V square, CV squared. Okay, so what is happening? These portions you say we call it is the charging circuit, the left band portions consisting of the voltage source, supply voltage, charging resistance, and a capacitor. So with time, this condenser is getting charged to certain value, and probably with a long time it will come very close to V0. And these portions, other right hand side, we have the machine. So like this, here we have the your machine. So this is a, here we have the machine where we have to create the discharge. Okay, so how the discharge will take place? Say this is the tool, this is the job. Okay, they are very close to each other and filled with dielectric. Now because of the proximity, okay, we have set a conditions. If the voltage level is above a certain voltage, the breakdown of the dielectric can take place. Now that is how we have set the input voltage. This V0 is set such a way it is capable of generating this breakdown over here, probably much below that. But initially condenser was 0, but it got charged. The moment we have got this condenser is charged to this critical value, threshold value of breakdown, what will happen? Now condenser may start losing charges, get discharged in this, because condenser has been already charged above this threshold value. So what will happen in this discharge value? It will lose the start discharging this thing, and here current will flow in these directions. Okay, till then current was flowing in this direction. Now the current is flowing in this direction, so that this energy which has already been stored in the condenser, that will be get discharged in the gap, and that discharge is going to create the machining craters over here. So alternately, as if this is a alternately gets charged, condenser above the threshold voltage reach the threshold value, it gets discharged, then charge, discharge. So continuously this kind of charging and discharging, it is a auto switching kind of thing which may happen. Okay, and here if you see, we can mathematically also prove it will such kind of generator will give a pulsing like this. Okay, kind of a sawtooth kind of pulse we may generate like this over here. Okay, it will be giving this kind of energy. It will be good enough for EDM kind of operations. Okay, now other type of pulses we may have over here. Okay, that is called the electronic pulse generator. That is called the electronic pulse generator. Okay, in electronic pulse generator, look at the bottom. Mostly we are doing now, no longer we are using these vacuum tubes and this thing and other things. We can use some solid state switch like this, like different types of MOSFETs and other things, MOSFET driven circuits. So here we can get exactly rectangular shape, not like this or this. It is possible to shape the things very precisely. Okay, so here these solid state switches, we will be able to such kind of switch mode power supplies will be using some MOSFETs, and from there we can get this kind of electric pulses like this. So these are called electronic pulse generator. And some cases we may also do some kind of a hybridization between the electronics generator and relaxation generator. Say, how is it? Say this time we can have a electronic pulse generator which is switch mode power supply. So here the outcome is a this kind of square or rectangular pulses, and in these circuits we give some kind of a relaxation circuit consisting of what you call charging, and there will be having some kind of a capacitor. So similar to a relaxation circuit, the moment the charging takes place, goes above this value, there will be discharge over here. But here the same circles, what will happen? This will have a ramp like this, and again it will be inclination like this. So probably this will be related to the ionization and deionization, and this will be your actual discharge which is happening. So you see in a relaxation circuit, the actual machining is during the uptime in the discharge time. Okay, during the discharge time of the circuits. And here probably by controlling these parameters we can make it in tandem in control with the ionization and deionization capability of the dielectric, so that performance wise it may be more efficient. Okay, one much better in the things, because otherwise for normal relaxation generator or other kind of generator we are giving the energy, but because of the finite time requirement of the ionization deionization we are not able to utilize them properly. Here this kind of we will be able to match with the ionization and deionization capability of the circuit. This is something like this. So if you see locally we are having all different types. This is now all the most of the machines I would say will be having this kind of pulse generator, electronic pulse generator, all EDM machines. Okay, and some of the machines we are having hybrid generator. Like in IIT we have a machines which is having EDM machines which is which is based upon the relaxation generator. We have machines. Sorry, page up. Sorry. We have machines which are also done with the made of electronic generator as well as hybrid pulse generator in a variety of machines. So all these things combinations are possible in EDM, but nobody using the other first type. Nobody is using nowadays. Okay. So coming to the relaxation generator, because why I'm talking about the relaxation generator, because relaxation generator are more easy to analyze, okay, and see how the pulses are coming and how the corresponding pulses can be used for the machining operations. Okay, so just a minute. Sorry, going to the full screen. Sorry. So relaxation generator, look at the figure. Here, what is your thing? This is your workpiece, okay, and this is your tool, and this direction you may give a tool feed, okay. So this is some insulation so that this can be isolated, okay, and tool is had some moving mechanism so that it can be kept downward, okay, with time. Some movements may be there, motorized movement, okay, and this is the interelectrode gap, very small gap where we create the discharge. But how do we create the discharge? So here in this pulse generator, RC generator, we have a RMC. This is the charging resistance, and this is the charging capacitance, and this is the DC source. Okay, this is V0. This is V0. This is just a DC source. Okay. Now, when you, as I said, initially condenser will get charged these values, okay, get up to charged, and the voltage will also rise up to a threshold value. But the moment this voltage level exceeds this the critical value for breakdown, then this will no longer be charging. Current will start flowing from this condenser in these directions, and it will go. So charging IC is denoted as, charging current is denoted as IC, which varies with time. Voltage across condenser is denoted by VC, which also varies with time, and during that is during charging, and during discharge, ID is the discharge current, which also varies with time. And so initially both IC and ID will have high value, but with time it will come down, smaller and smaller value it will have. Okay, so here other than RC we are calling is the, this is the RD, because the moment it becomes conductive, and for a given gap dielectric also will offer some physical resistance. So this is the resistance in the entire discharge circuit. This may be the resistance of the discharge circuit. Okay, let us move to the next slide. Now, what is happening in the charging portions, left hand side? Okay, in the charging portions, what we are giving? We are applying a voltage equal to V0. Okay, this is the current, and this is the, we have set certain resistance, okay, conveniently, and this is the things, and this is the voltage across the condenser. Okay, so the time variable, this thing of charging current, this is basically V0 minus VC divided by RC, which is nothing but C into dVC dt, rate of change of voltage of the condenser with time. Okay, no doubt about that. So slightly rearranging the terms, what we get? dVC divided by V0 minus VC, which will be equal to 1 by RC into C into dt. Okay, so this is what we have. Now, your initial conditions wise, okay, see, at time t equal to 0, what is that? At time t equal to 0, the voltage across the condenser, because condenser charge is also 0, voltage across the condenser is 0. And say at any time, say t equal to Tc, we have achieved a voltage value of this condenser. This VCT has become VC, okay, for a given time. So the limits of the integration is for 0 to Vc of this integral, this value, okay, dVc by V0 into Vc. Now this becomes will be 1 by C into RC of integration of dt. The limits are 0 to Tc. So this gives rise to, after integration, log of ln, log of V0 minus Vc by V0. That will be 1 by that will be minus 1 by CRC, because with time that this thing is coming down, no? So minus 1 by CRC into Tc. Okay, very simple. Okay. Now here what is happening? Slightly rearranging that things, the previous things. So this is, we are rearranging. So and this we are getting Vc as V0 into 1 minus e to the power minus Tc by CRC. Okay, all these things. Okay, so this will be the value of voltage across condenser at given time. And this will be basically, this equation says there will be exponential rise of the charging voltage with time, but with time the voltage will rise further, but rate of, because of this negativity, the rate of what you call increase of the voltage, that will flatten out, that will come down. Okay. And now what about current? What is about charging current? Okay. Now this is the voltage about condenser. Okay. The charging current will be, which is also time variant. It will be V0 minus Vc divided by RC, and that we can rewrite as V0 minus V0 into 1 minus e to the power minus Tc by CRC whole divided by RC. Okay, so this, we just replace the value of Vc of this value by this. Okay, so we get these results over here. So this we can write like this. Okay, so it will eventually becomes, because this V0 minus V0 cancel out, so this becomes V0 into e to the power minus Tc by CRC. Okay, and this will be V0 by RC. So again, this also, if we see, you can see this also gives a exponential decay. This is negative, so exponential decay of the charging current. With time, the charging current also will go down. How will it be there? Say if we try to plot it, say this is the time this is the time, charging time, and this we have plotted on this x-axis both for the Vc. Vc is, okay, the voltage across condenser. Say this is this is your Vc. Okay, this is your, how the voltage across the condenser will rise like this. Okay, and the current across and this is, if it, this is IC, so current is coming like this. Okay, so this is how what is there. And here this is your, these two are of course different. So V0 is your supply voltage, supply DC voltage, and VCO is basically your breakdown voltage. Okay, breakdown voltage. So the moment the condenser reaches VCO, the discharge circuit will initiate. And the factor, the C into RC into the previous equation, is defined as the time constant of the circuit. So it is equal to the time taken by the condenser to reach around say 0.638 times the charging voltage V0. Okay, how is it? Say for example, for TC equal to C into RC. Okay, how much is VC? VC is basically, just put TC there, V0 into 1 minus e to the power minus C into TC divided by C into RC. TC we replace by C into RC. So it is becoming e to the power minus 1. Okay, so that becomes VC will equal to V0 into 1 minus e to the power 0.372. Okay, whatever it may be, this value. So this will have this value. Okay, so V0 value of this one. Now what is happening during the discharge circuit? What is happening during the discharge circuit, the right hand side? Now here already we have the condenser over here, and this is the machine part, and machine will offer upon because we have already reached the criticality, so breakdown has happened, and this gap is offering a resistance. Total resistance is RD. What is RD? RD equal to total resistance of the discharge portions. So out of this, there may be some resistance of the dielectric spark gap resistance. Plus, we can additionally put some resistance into the circuits, which may be some lead resistance, or we can just to control the discharge current, we may offer introduce some resistance into the machine part, selective through some selectors, so that we can control the current. Okay, so total resistance, I assume it is discharge resistance is RD. So that case, ID is your discharge current. ID will be basically any point of time it is VD. VD is variant of time. So VD by RD. Okay, which will be equal to rate of discharge of the condenser. So minus C into dVd by dt. Okay, so again we rearrange. So it is dVd by Vd, which will be equal to minus 1 by C into RD into dt. Is it? Yes, no doubt of that. So again, at time t equal to 0, what is the value of the discharge current? That is the breakdown voltage of the condenser. So it will be equal to VCO, because I said my breakdown voltage is VCO. Okay, so condenser will get charged up to there. Then from that point, it will no longer get charged. Okay, so at t equal to 0, Vd equal to VCO, and at t equal to Td, some discharge time of Td, say discharge voltage, we are assuming it to Vd. So if we integrate with these limits, say dVd by Vd, from starting point VCO, it is coming down to, VCO is more than Vd. So VCO to Vd, and it will be minus 1 by C RD. Now it is RD into dt, integration of dt, which is from 0 times 0 to time Td. Okay, so integration, results of integration will give you log of Vd by VCO. Okay, which will be equal to Td divided by minus Td divided by C into RT. So slightly rearrange and put them put them there. So Vd is equal to VCO into e to the power minus Td by C into RT. So that is the value of how the discharge voltage, okay, voltage across the current, voltage across the condenser will vary during the discharge time. Okay, with time. So what will be your now discharge current? Now discharge current is ID. ID is nothing but Vd by Rd. Okay, ID is nothing but Vd by Rd. So ID is VCO by Rd into e to the power minus Td by C into Rd. So this is your ID. So you see with time current is coming down, as well as voltage is also coming down. They are on the two different scale. This is about your discharge current. This is your current value. Okay. So now you know how how is my going to my discharge voltage and discharge current in a, we're discussing about the relaxation type of circuit concept or RC circuit. Okay, so if we try to put the how the voltage varies with time, both during considering both the charging and discharging. Okay, you see during charging your voltage rise like this. Okay, so this is your voltage is rising like this. Okay, so this is your VC, so it is rising like this, and this is during discharging, it is doing in a different manner, so it is discharging like this. Okay, so this is during discharge. Okay, so again it will, these are all, sorry, these are all discharge and these are all rising. Okay, let me put the laser pointer on. So this is charging, this is discharging. Again, this is charging. Now, it may so happen, see, discharge always may not come down to zero. Deionization, it may not be a complete deionization. So from that point, actually charging is happening again. Okay. So, but this, the total cycle time is from this point to this point. But this resembles a tooth of a saw. Okay. So this is what is called a sawtooth curve. So actual operation of a RC generator, charging time, discharge time, and out of this your machining is happening when? During the discharge your machining is happening. Okay, because this is the discharge in the gap. Okay, and which is contributing to the machining. Okay. Okay. Now, my friends, frequency of operations of a relaxation type of circuit or generator, RC generator. Now, you know already charging time we have seen, it is basically a C into RC into log of 1 by 1 minus VCO by V0. Okay, you can easily get that thing. And discharge time TD is basically your RD into C into log of VD by VCO. Okay, so total cycle time is your TC plus TD. Okay, so frequency is 1 divided by total cycle times, that means 1 by TC plus TD. Okay, that is the frequency of operations. So in terms of these values, we may write frequency of the pulsing in a RC generator is 1 by RC into C into log of 1 divided by 1 minus VCO by V0. Okay, plus RD into C into log of VD by VCO. This is the breakdown voltage. Okay, now what will happen in an relaxation circuit, main time takes for the charging the condenser and discharging takes a very small time because charging takes time. So here we can assume that time of charging is much higher than the TD value, okay, discharge value. So if that is so, we may neglect this thing. So what will happen? The frequency of pulsing may be approximated to the 1 by TC value. Okay, so that is what we may consider in the relaxation circuit. Okay. Now, material removal rate in relaxation circuit. What should be my material removal rate? Can we have an estimate of this? Yes, probably we know how much energy is delivered in the spark gap. Now you know the energy content in the spark capacitor is the maximum charge will be there during the breakdown. Okay, and that at the instant of breakdown, it will have a voltage of VCO. So this is the energy content of the condenser at that time. So maximum energy which may be delivered in the spark gap is equal to half of C into VCO square. Okay, so total energy per second delivered in the discharge channel will be how much? It will be half of, you have to multiply this thing by the frequency, because in 1 second we can FC number of pulses. So it will be half into FC into C into VCO square. Okay. So if we assume out of this, some we may, because we may miss certain percentage of the pulses. Okay, and this fraction may vary something between 30%, maybe how many will be the effective pulses? Will all pulses will be 100% effective? For a very good settings, okay, gap settings, your voltage levels, proper flushing, you can have, try to have 100% of the pulses getting used for discharge. But in a bad conditions, as low as 30% may be used for discharge. So if we say eta fraction of the all the pulses results in effective discharge, that means material removal rate will be proportional to half of eta into Fc into C into VCO square. Okay, so more the energy, okay, more will be by material remove, okay, or material remove per second. So this is in per second. Okay, so more is the thing, more will be the material remove per second. Okay, so our material removal rate. So the frequency of operation of charging when say TC greater than TD. I said that case my frequency of the machine will be 1 by TC, which is nothing but 1 by RC into 1 by log of 1 minus VCO by V0, this value. Okay, so let the constant kf equal to this value. We're just denoting it by a constant. So which will be how much? This constant here, kf is actually what? This is Fc into Rc into C. Here if you just put these things that side, so kf equal to this value. Now from equation 1, the previous page, you see MRR is proportional to half eta into Fc into C VCO square. So what we get from 1, MRR is proportional to half eta into Kf by Rc into VCO square. No doubt about that. So from there, this we put by some constant of proportionality, K1. Okay, so MRR will be equal to K1 into eta divided by 2RC. This comes over here into VCO square. You put the value of Kf back, so it is just this value. So this is what is your MRR. Okay, this is your MRR. Okay. So MRR is coming in type of the proportionality constant, the eta factor, effective discharge, how many, what percentage are effective discharge, and this is what fraction is effective discharge, RC, this is VCO, these are constant for the machine, and this is a depends upon the gap conditions, and this is again the threshold voltage, and this is the supply voltage, which is again constant. Okay. So maybe I'll stop here, okay, because it will take some time to take attendance also. If you have some questions, please tell me. You can do it at this moment, okay? Otherwise, I'll just a minute. Is my ERT screen visible?
No, sir.
No, sir. Okay, okay. Then let me unshare and do it again. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay. I think we may stop recording.